Your show will go live in 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1. Blog Talk Radio.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another edition of the Free American Hour. I'm your host, Clay Douglas, and my guest today is AdrianSalbuchi, coming to us from Argentina. Hello, Adrian. How are you?
How are you? Good morning, my friend. How's everything?
Well, everything is great. I'm really happy to have you on my show. My audience ought to be familiar with you because I keep putting some of your YouTube videos up. You seem to be always pretty on top of what's going on. But let me give you just a couple of little news items here. I just got an email from Southern Poverty Law telling me that I need to renew my membership with them now.
Really?
Yeah. Maybe they've been punishing me about it because they haven't named me on any of their little hate brochure, the hate list this year. Maybe they just thought they were giving me too much publicity. But they have jumped on the bandwagon with the other Mossad civilian operation here in the United States, the Anti-Defamation League, and attacking anti-government patriot groups. They say they're giving us a warning here that the hate groups are at record levels, almost 1,000, and anti-government patriot groups have increased at a startling pace in recent months. We're vigilantly tracking these potentially dangerous groups and training law enforcement around the country to identify and deal with these extremists. Your renewed support would mean so much to the critical projects our investigative team is pursuing. I hope they are holding their breath waiting for my donation.
Absolutely. Well, you know, it's typical of them doing that. Name calling has been one of the tactics permanently used to try to offset any ideas that they don't like or any actions that they don't like. Like when they call, you criticize the state of Israel and automatically you're an anti-Semite, and you have to explain that you're not an anti-Semite, you're merely criticizing the goals of Zionism and the actions of a foreign state called Israel.
That's right. I don't know why it's so hard for the American people to understand that the Israel is basically the same thing as the Nazis. It's they have the same motivations, and during the Nazi reign in Germany, the Israeli flag was the only other flag allowed to be flown beside the Nazi flag.
Well, because they have I would even say they have a common worldview. They are both extremely racist. They both set a lot of importance on the purity of blood for different reasons, or maybe from different cultural standpoints, but they definitely do it. They are both extremely, they will exclude, and they're very intolerant towards other people. They were both very intolerant to mixed marriages, and they are both extremely territorial in a very violent way. So yes, you know, the extremes end up touching each other. One of the great falsifications or falsifyings of modern history has to do with the fact that nobody, especially the Israelis, they don't want anybody investigating what were the real dealings between the Nazis, especially the SS, and the Zionist movement, because they both had common interests and they had common plans. And you probably heard of a guy by the name of Adolf Eichmann, who was actually kidnapped in Argentina in the 1960s, and they took him to Israel. They, quote, judged him, unquote, and then they hanged the guy, because it seems that he was one of the contact people, and he had a lot of information about those wheelings and dealings between the Zionist movement, Chaim Weizmann and his lot, and the Nazis. And it would have been extremely embarrassing if it were to come out into the public eye that there were many agreements and deals between the two, because they both had a common interest. The Zionists wanted to get European Jewry out of Europe and into the Middle East, into Palestine, and the Germans wanted the same thing. They wanted to get rid of all the Jews in Europe and send them into Palestine, which was then a British mandate, and that would have further weakened, as it did later on, the British in their war efforts.
And the Zionist movement was started by the Rothschilds.
Yep.
The Rothschilds started in Germany. They had control of Germany. You know, now one of the things that I want to point out here is, you know, of course I've been accused for years, before I ever knew anything about the Jewish connection to this whole New World Order thing. I've been trying to point out that I don't believe it's all of it's all Jews, you know, any more than it's all Muslims are bad. You know, the government of Russia was the communism was started, and people referred to it in Russia as Judaism for the masses. So they've always been behind this. They've been behind communism. The Rothschilds, the bankers, the New York bankers that worked with the Rothschilds financed the whole Bolshevik revolution, murdered the Tsar, and I think this happened, and I want your input on this. This happened because the League of Nations failed. The League of Nations was set up to give some type of color of law to the Balfour Declaration, and it failed. It failed because the United States and Russia wouldn't go along with it, so they murdered the Tsar and set up communism and the Soviet Union in Russia, and went on to kill 60 million white Christian Russians, farmers, 10 million in the Ukraine. And I feel that is happening. The history is repeating itself. It's happening right now. It's happening in the United States, and maybe the methods have changed a little bit. Maybe they're not shooting people and putting them in pits here right now, but they're certainly trying to kill Americans with control of the food, the poisoning of the foods. Yeah, don't worry about putting that Roundup on your gardens. We built the bug killer into the food, and the other method that they're using to kill us is the pharmaceutical industry that has a 7,000% markup on many of its products.
Absolutely. Look, you've touched upon quite a number of points there, and I think that they're all very much worth addressing if you want to understand what's really happening now. First of all, there's a timing factor in all of this that most people, but not just in America, most people the world over will not see, which is as follows. If you were to, let's take it one stage at a time, if you were to do something in your own personal life, you, me, or anybody listening to us, you know that you can take a series of actions and make a series of decisions, and in a couple of weeks' time you can change your life around. If you take it to an organizational level, okay, an organization needs a bit more planning, maybe 1 year, maybe 2 years, maybe 3 years. If If you take it to a national level, national planning should be done for 10, 15, maybe even 20 years. But if you want to re-engineer the entire planet as the global power elite, where Zionism is a key factor, if you want to re-engineer an entire planet, you need to plan for maybe 50, 60, why not 100 years. And what these guys have